Hey, welcome to the Hired AV podcast. My name is Joe Way, and I am your host, and I have the little music on repeat. So it was supposed to end, and this is why I am not, a professional recording artist, and I had to end up going to the AV industry instead. How many AV people, there's a quote there, I need this in the chat. How many AV people are failed musicians? Or roadies? That's it, because that's what we do for a living now. Is we work in commercial AV. But welcome everyone. We're excited. This is our annual introduction to preview InfoComm show, InfoComm 2025, coming up in we're recording this on May 30th. So you're listening to this on June 2nd-ish. And that's just a week later. You'll already be in there checking into your hotel, doing education stuff. You'll already be in Orlando. And we are here talking to the one, the only, the world famous, the guru of all things AVIXA, the man, the myth, the legend, and legendary, and person who knows the difference between what is history and just memories, Mr. Dave Labuskes. Please, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself as if my titles for you weren't exactly what should be on your LinkedIn. Please tell people who you are and what you do.
I am the CEO of the Joe Way fan club. And then in my spare time, I am CEO of AVIXA. So InfoComm's our little party, and happy to be here.
The Joe Way fan club. So you're the CEO and only member, because no one else.
That's how I got the job.
It works great.
I interviewed myself and hired myself and pay myself, which I think is a little unfair, Joe.
Well, hopefully you get enough sponsors for that and everything. But Dave, so we're just a week away from InfoComm. I guess got to say, how is it coming along? How's the show looking? I know we have to talk numbers because that's like the rules, but you don't have to give me a number. I always do my guess. So I'm going to do my guess later in the show. But how's prep coming along and all of that?
It's coming along great. It is going to be. I feel like I say this every year, but it's going to be a great show this year. Really excited about the content, some of the shifts that are being made to, position the show not only as the place to go to reconnect and meet new people, but the place where the industry's future is laid out and created in some ways. It's always been that, but we're really leaning into the importance of InfoComm for the industry, not only next week, but for the next year. We've got over 400,000 square feet of exhibits. We've got over 850 exhibitors. So those are numbers, but the magic of InfoComm is the inspiration and thought leadership, dare I say hope, that you take with you when you leave back to your workplace.
Yeah, I love that. I love that when you said hope, because one of the questions I have for you, because this is what everyone is talking about. What is kind of the temperature right now? I know everyone is talking about how tariffs, especially if I'm looking at the higher ed vertical. We have a lot of people can't travel in some. We have a lot of people who are their budgets are frozen. What is the temperature you're feeling when you're looking at this from the macro of our industry?
Frothy. I think you have to pick a perspective to view an industry from, and then shift your perspective, right? We talk about sort of, helicoptering up and helicoptering down. You need to do the same thing in my role, where I need to look at the state of our industry globally and what are the global needs for the AV profession. But then I need to be able to zoom down and listen to, Tom and Mary talk about their business and the challenges that they're facing, and look at how can we serve Tom and Mary within a broader context. So that's all, that's kind of generic speak. Clearly uncertainty is the bane of business. Any good business leader can develop and execute a strategy in good times and bad. It's just really helpful to know whether it is good times or bad times. And we don't know. We don't know from day to day, week to week, month to month right now. And that is, that results in a lot of holding your cards and not playing the hand, because you don't know what kind of hand you have. We certainly are seeing the thing about InfoComm, very transparently, is that trade shows in general tend to be lagging indicators rather than leading indicators. Is the people that are exhibiting that 400,000 square feet of space, most of that was committed to a year ago, and there's penalties faced at this point if somebody were to pull out of a show, and so they're unlikely to leave the show this year due to bad times. Where we'll feel the impact from the industry is looking ahead to the 2026 show. And that's a long way away. Although commitments are already being made, top 100 or 200 exhibitors have already committed for their space in Vegas next year. But there's hundreds more that will be making decisions over the coming year, and they're going to make decisions in the context of what's going on out there. It's tough. It's challenging.
Yeah, I love how you said that, because you're right that often when you have your exhibitors and they're looking ahead and they're booking and they're planning, because this is not, as now being booth guy with the HETMA booth and all of that, this is nothing you throw together the day before. There's a lot that goes into that. Yes, there's a lot that goes into that. It's what keeps me awake at night now. But with that is the thought that, hey, if I'm looking at higher ed now and I'm talking to my colleagues and they're saying, and we're going on our chat boards, hey, are you going? What are you going to find? I don't know if my school is going to allow me to travel. I don't know this. How can I find things? And what we're finding, and I think this is the key to InfoComm, this is going to kind of turn our conversation a little bit to things going on, is that people are now looking for value proposition. It's not just saying, hey, I'm going to go to a trade show and I want a free trip on my campus to go to Orlando, and I might go over the weekend and go to Disney, but how can I get value? And that's where we go, hey, you know what? We have the HETMA Education Summit, right? We have other things and opportunities to network. And I think that's what makes, InfoComm very different, is the focus on growing yourself as a professional, right? And having the classes and having the certifications, right? Come in, what is it, starting Saturday or whatever day it is, right? And doing the 3-day courses and all of that. So talk a little bit to us, like if you were, if you're talking to your boss, you're trying to sell somebody that doesn't know what InfoComm is, what are those value propositions to say, hey, this is why you should be here and the show, and we can do it for you. This is to Tom and Mary, right? Not the big people. How do we talk to them? And what are those types of things that you're looking for?
Well, there's literally hundreds of sessions that are taking place before and during the event, and so let's sort of structure it with commerce, connections, and content. So first of all, the uncertainty in the economy and the challenges with regards to extracting maximum value for every dollar that's spent are all served by being at InfoComm. You have a number of things. One, you can't judge any of the audio side of AV via the internet. You can read specs, you can understand product offerings, but you can't experience the product itself, whether in fact it's audio or display online. You have to experience it in person. You won't hear about the projects that don't exist yet, other than at InfoComm, where people will be talking about projects that are coming down the road, that aren't formal projects yet. So regardless of where you are in the supply chain, whether you're a manufacturer or an installer or a consultant or a distributor, not being an InfoComm puts you at a significant disadvantage in regards to the commerce value of the event. The content is where I started to go with the hundreds of sessions, and that's a pick and choose and select that which is of value to you. Do you want to focus in on how to make your projects more sustainable? Well, we have sessions on that. Do you want to learn about how other businesses in our industry are using AI? Well, we have sessions on that. Do you want to learn how to size a display in a room? Well, we have sessions on that. So, and that means a couple of things. One, you plan your trip, you plan your visit to InfoComm, and two, utilize the resources that are out there online to pick and choose and set your schedule so that you can absorb the content that is going to be most meaningful to you. And then connections. You started with talking about being failed musicians that turned into roadies that finally decided they didn't want to live on a bus anymore. And I do truly believe that is a significant source of the workforce that's in our industry. It's it's actually attracting more and more from sort of a more formalized engineering, science, sort of higher ed traditional pathway into the industry. But I always commented when people would talk to me about how do we get more people interested in AV, that we should just put flyers out on the telephone poles behind the stages at all of the venues and say, hey, tired of living out of your van? We've got a job for you. The pure proof of that is any karaoke event that takes place at any of the AVIXA events anywhere in the world is filled with amazing talent of people that are performing from within our industry. I think the connections maybe is one of those areas where you have challenges when you're talking to your boss and saying, I want to get there because I haven't seen Joe in a year and I want to hang out with him. But I think you have to focus in on what is the value of knowing Joe. What is the
zero.
Tom? Let's use Tom.
Tom,
the extraction of learning from each other, the peer-to-peer learning, and the not only in real time, but the ability to call Tom next month because something's happened and you can't figure out what's going on, is invaluable to your boss, right? Because otherwise you eventually might figure it out, but it may take you 3 weeks to figure it out when there's 75 other people that have had that same challenge and have already solved it. And you need to have them in your resource toolbox and be in theirs, right? That doesn't happen without the serendipity of a trade show and the focus and plan of attending a trade show.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think that's where, and I love that. That's the hardest part sometimes to sell that when you're putting it on your expense report or your here, I need $3,000 to do this. Cause a lot of times that doesn't show up, but it's most valuable. And I think that especially in higher ed, right? Because the comment I always say to my manufacturer partners and all that is because we do things on campus at scale. I never buy one of something. I buy 200 of something, right? To standardize across. Well, I want those connections with my peers. I need those because I can, every day I can call, James at UNLV. I can call BC at Vanderbilt. I can call Ryan at Yavapai College. Right? I can call all my friends, Aaron at, at Johns Hopkins, and go, hey, I saw that you did this. You put this on the community. I saw this on the AVIXA Exchange that you did this. Right now, because we can have those conversations, we can now go, we're at InfoComm and say, oh, let me head over to the Crestron booth, the Sony booth, the whatever, and look at these things and say, oh, that's what I see. Now I can go back to my boss and go, all right, I made the connections. I saw the stuff. I actually got to see, yes, that projector is 100% exactly what's saying, and that's what we need, because I can only write those multi-million-dollar checks, once every 5 years. And that's where those become important in shows like this. So I want to so I have two important questions I always poll people what questions I have to ask. So there's two. All right. First, can you put the rumors? Why do I get texts saying InfoComm is in Vegas for the next 7 years? Put it to rest. Yes or no?
We sign contracts out for I think we've got the 29 contract has been signed. For the foreseeable future, we are rotating back and forth. Half the people want to stay in Orlando, half the people want to stay in Vegas. This is classic. It's about 60% of our attendees each year only go to one or the other city. And so the exhibitors actually want to be able to see those 60%. Now, maybe some of them, if they knew we were only going to be going to Vegas from now on, they'd stop just going to Orlando. I don't know that we'd lose all of those attendees. Mm-hmm. But there's value in offering it in both locations. See? And each location has advantages and disadvantages.
There's my I told you so people. Every time, this time, everyone that it comes, and I've heard this happen. Like, no.
This is in January, I get asked when we're going back to Amsterdam for ISE.
You know what, though? I'm not going to, even though I love Barcelona and I love ISE, and I think Barcelona is great. And it's probably one of the best trade show venues that there is for that size, to be able to jump across. There would be advantage in doing a little jumping back and forth between Barcelona and Amsterdam, but
we don't fit. We don't fit in Amsterdam anymore.
Yeah. So, all right. Then the next question I have to ask. So, the HETMA planning committee for this, where we open up all of a sudden one day, we open up Map Your Show, and the AVIXA member lounge is right next to our booth, 4887. How much trouble are we going to get in being right next to the AVIXA member lounge? I mean, we're normally like the rowdy group in the back of the room, and now we have, daddy watching over us here. So
have you met AVIXA members?
The way I look, like I'm looking going, you know what? Now if you do the same booth you always do ish, there's a lot of extra seating for us. It's like you gave us free seating right in front of our booth.
Yeah, I hope we charged you double for that. We turned that into prime space for you. I am excited about our presence on the trade show floor. That's one of those things that has truly evolved. If you go all the way back to 2013 was my first InfoComm as CEO. We had a very different kind of presence at the show. And I think we always realize and want to focus on the fact that it's not our party. Mm-hmm. It's your party. It's the exhibitors' party and the attendees' party. And so we've always tried to actually use the event to highlight the industry and the participants of the event, and not AVIXA. Sort of, we take the back seat, right? But we have, I think, achieved a good balance where we are now full on present, committed to being a part of the conversation, driving the conversation, leading the conversations, talking about the future of the industry, and driving that gathering to be a setting for the visioning of the future. In fact, that's one of the main events that we're holding is Vision 2030 with an amazing group of panelists and a average moderator to talk about the future of our industry 5 years from now.
Well, where is it? I mean, what are the trends? You're the one that gets to see everything from the macro. I mean, outside of the buzzwords of AI or the buzzwords of XYZ, where are you seeing those trends going? Especially, I'm going to loop this around to what I said. I might only get those multi-million-dollar opportunities every 4 or 5 years on a college campus. So if I'm showing up this year to plan for the next 5 years, where are the trends and where's my best value? What should I be looking at?
You're going to have to come to the session.
Well, you can't give us a teaser.
I'm not taking the thunder. We've got Brad Hinsey from Crestron. We've got Chris Shavink from Shore there. We've got Eric Hutto from Diversified. I mean, we've got Jason there for the end user voice. I mean, that's 4 people that are going to be talking about the future of the industry, that are driving the future of the industry. Mm-hmm. You've got the CEO of Shore sitting up there. You've got the CEO of one of the largest integrators in the world sitting up there. It's Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. You come on over.
Look at you doing the shameless plugs. I thought that's what I do, right?
Yeah,
You're shame. 11 o'clock. That's okay as long as it's not in the way of our happy hours. That's fine. Everyone, HETMA booth 4887 every day, starting at 2 o'clock. 2 to close. So you want to talk about that, make some room at the AVIXA member lounge, because, we're the party of parties in the back.
The party inside the party.
That's right. Hey, you know what? We had over 3,800 badge scans last year. So our goal is to beat that. I mean, that's not
What'd you do with them? Did you follow up?
Yeah, we suck at that.
Everybody is challenged by that.
I think we did the one, thank you email. All right. So here.
Thanks for being honest about that.
But it's true, right?
Yeah,
like you get it. And I think this is, one of the things. So I'm going to turn this into a question. So much work goes into InfoComm. So much work goes into planning, and you take it, right? You buy your little, CompView, whatever it is, you get your scans, you've got it, you send off the thanks for, but then, especially for us as an end user group, I spent the last 10 days away from the office, right? By the time I've set up the booth and I got there or did all that stuff, now I got to play catch up and then doing that follow up. So what is the advice of getting the most value afterwards? Talk to our members, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think companies, well, it's like every other sort of diverse or differentiation between companies. I mean, some are really, really effective at it and others aren't. And I think it separates it's really critically important to extract the value from the event. Mm-hmm. Not all of it is lead gen, right? Some of it is brand presence. Some of it is channel relationships. Everybody's at the show for different reasons. But I think it's, we're all familiar with the, MarTech that's out there that you can use to build campaigns around. And I'm just always amazed at the various different levels of maturity and sophistication that our exhibitors have across the utilization of those scans. Some of them, my questions are always generally about, did you get your value? Some of those exhibitors are spending 7 figures on their presence at the show. Are they getting their money back? Is it, or their money's worth? And that's a challenge to measure, right? Yeah. Because did they get that $1 million check from you because they met with you at the show or not? Right.
Yeah.
they know they met with you. They know they got the $1 million check. How much of that $1 million in revenue can they link back to the presence at the event?
Yeah, that conversation, that relationship. Yeah,
it's a challenge to do that. The question that I mean, but part of it is, would they have gotten it at all if they hadn't been there and somebody else had been? So it's what we do know is that face-to-face events are still the number one most powerful marketing tool for B2B. There's no the utilization of them, the sort of the landscape of marketing tools available to companies is certainly more broad than it's ever been. But in the key areas of building relationships, reinforcing relationships, closing deals, generating leads, doing it face-to-face is still the thing to do.
100%. And actually, even though we're probably horrible at the follow-up, we do know, like, because it's funny when people say, we do our annual sponsorship, stuff like that. And for members, we're always free. That's one of the things about HETMA. But, like we do our annual sponsorship, well, it's crazy. It turns out that doing InfoComm ain't cheap, right? Being show floor person ain't cheap, right? But also, and then you add that now we're doing ISE, and then I'll be speaking at InfoComm Asia, right? We're starting to grow these things throughout. It turns out those things, but cost. But that being said, we see our community membership grow at each one. Obviously, we can probably do better with the added follow-up, but we know that QR code at the booth, finding people that, it's amazing how many of our members, especially those ones who have volunteered on committees and gotten involved, people who are part of our PRISM scholarship now, found us because they were walking the booth, or they went to another manufacturer. They found someone and said, and they just saw the little education thing on it and went, "Oh, have you heard about HETMA? Let me walk you over there." And they might have just been a person that never been part of the community. They showed up. Next thing you know, not just showing up to the booth, but we're like, "Well, do you have plans tonight? We have dinners planned. Why don't you come to us, be part of our community and join in?" And that's where we see the most value. And we've seen our membership grow. That doesn't happen just because someone might Google, "I'm trying to find a higher ed AV group that maybe can," right? And I think that's one of the things, is having that physical presence, that started all the way back at, still my favorite InfoComm ever, October 2021, where we, went on the show floor with our horribly lime green badges and just flooded everything. But that's where I think that we see the value, and why we, no matter what, we're always going, and we're always going to be a staple of it, and it'll be a staple of the show, because we know that there's a lot out there, and a lot of people out there that just, I wouldn't find you, and they're in an island, right? If you look at InfoComm, all right, and I told everyone to do my prediction. Yeah. 43,000. That's gonna be my prediction. 43,000.
You've always been optimistic, Joe.
You're gonna go lower, higher, lower? Higher or lower?
I'm not gonna give you a guess. What I know is that we are the registrations are tracking ahead of last year, same time, and they're tracking ahead of 23, same time. And then you really, 22, 21, 20 was the year of no show. Those are numbers that we don't even really compare to anymore. But it's I guess what we would say is it's tracking to be the largest post-COVID show we've ever had. So.
All right. I like it. No, I mean, and I love it. Everyone knows. So we have, every year we have the conversation, which is better. And I try to make you choose which baby to pick in Vegas or Orlando. And I won't make you do that, but Orlando is my favorite. But I just put here on the scroller, now many people are listening, but so make sure, everyone, you can still go. It's still coming up. Make sure you use, the code Dave Labuskes is my hero for a free slow floor pass. You can shorten that to HETMA as your code to get a free show floor pass, and make sure you find us and all of that. But I want to, as we kind of start to wrap up, can you just give me the top, and from, put on your, I'm not CEO of AVIXA, I'm an end user and I'm showing up. What are the kind of top 3 things that they should do and take advantage of to get the most value out of this? I know you already talked about connections and the class, all that stuff, but if I'm showing up and I got to put my calendar out there, give me some top 3 points as an end user to get the most value out of the show.
Number 1, wear comfortable shoes. Number 2, drink lots of water and sleep as much as you can. But more importantly, drink lots of water. Number 3, plan. Plan. The show is massive, and it's open for, what is it, open for 20 hours maybe over the course of the 3 days. And so if you do the math and you say you want to visit 850 exhibitors, I don't know what that means, but it's probably about 3 minutes per exhibit. And that's not going to get you much value. So know in advance what you want to achieve. Define goals for your week. I want to meet these 3 people from this university. I want to see the product manager from this manufacturer and talk to them about their 5-year roadmap. Whatever those goals are, lay them out very explicitly, and then develop a plan to achieve those goals. And then evaluate yourself at the end of the week on whether or not you achieved the goals. To me, that's how that may. Otherwise, you're doing the same thing that we just talked about with regards to 3,800 scans and then not doing any follow-up. You won't know if it was worth your time. You won't know if it was an experience that you want to repeat. And the reality is that if you plan it, you lay out the goals, it will become an unmissable event. It'll be on your calendar every year because it's the most efficient way to achieve those goals, I bet, regardless of what they are.
I love that. And I think I can't stress that enough, even for myself, and everyone is planning it. And like you said, it's a 3-day show floor. But by the time people have gone to the Education Summit, by the way, still go to infocommshow.org, use code HETMA, that gets you your free show floor pass, but it does not get you to the Education Summit. So you got to go into education and make sure you sign up. We still have a handful of spots available for that, everyone. So Education Summit, it's 2 days of 3 different groups, really taking about the things that are important to you. We're going to talk about accessibility and design, security, and building relationships and project management, and the Higher Ed AV Awards that are Monday night. And every year I get to Wednesday, and I wake up in the morning and I feel like I've been there already. And it's time. I'm like going, wait, the show floor is just opening now. Like the actual reason we're here is just starting, right? Yep. But I've already been through a solid. And if you come for the education and all of that, it can be a lot. So pacing yourself, absolutely. Orlando in June, the water, and making sure you stay hydrated because it can catch up to you. To me, one of the things I've always said is, you can show up at the show floor opens at 9, it closes at 5. And then you have an entire workday still to start, because by the time you've hit the dinners and the after parties and all of that, that can go until 1 o'clock or so, right? I mean, that's a whole other 8-hour day still ahead of you. And if you don't plan it and you don't know, what am I going to be there? What am I going to look for? What's important to me? So that when I do get back and I do talk to my bosses and I talk to my team and they want to know what you saw, you can actually have something, tangible and all. So I think that is, that's the key for making the best out of the show. So, all right, last question, and the single most important question, and that is, you do at this time of year all the media rounds, you do all these preview things for all the other publications. Which one's really your favorite to do? I mean, I know there's all of the podcasts you have to do. You could just say it right now. We know that you just sit around for years waiting for the invite to this one, right?
Pining is probably the word I would use. Pining away. Crystal on our team, handles our communications, our director of communications, and she just finds me insufferable because all I do for weeks on end is say, "Have you heard from Joe? Has Joe asked you yet? Does he know my email? Have you heard from him?"
That's really, I knew that. Thank you. That helps me. That helps my ego. So, and I knew that, and don't worry, I won't tell any of the other publications that's really how you feel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're off record, right? We stopped.
Yeah, I know. And it's just us and 5,000 people. No one's listening, actually. No. And last thing, can you do the commercial for InfoComm? Please tell people how they can get a hold of you, how they can find out more information about the show.
Well, the show itself, infocommshow.org, is the best place. You've got AVIXA.org as well. And then you can get a hold of me, D Labuskes at AVIXA.com or .org is my email. And I read them and I reply to them. So love to hear from you.
Indeed you do. And I know that because every year I get to do this show. And then at some point I'm going to find you and snag you into, doing a cameo on a Hired AV podcast recording at some point. And now you can't run away.
I love stalking by you guys during the show and just like sitting down. I crash every year, every show.
All I'll say is, yeah, we may not get it. We like to do things bigger and better. And I don't know if that's a good thing this year because I've turned the booth over. And there's people with crazier ideas than me and overseeing this stuff. So if we can just say cannon fire, there you go. I'm gonna leave it at that. And there's only one booth right in front of us, and that's the AVIXA Member Lounge. So yeah, we're gonna be in trouble. But we are coming back. We've got our DJ the entire time. Lyle's going to do it. We're going to have a great time. Our happy hours, in all the information and all that. So thank you very much, Dave. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to start playing some music in the background, see if I do this right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you at InfoComm this next week. Use code HETMA, which is, of course, short for Dave Labuskes is my hero, at infocommshow.org for a free show floor pass. And we'll see you Education Summit, Hired AV Awards, tours, everything, all of that stuff. And there we go. I'm going to put the slide on, and then I'm going to hit end recording. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you.